Isn't it true? Isn't it true that waiting is a struggle? Because when you're waiting, it feels like nothing is actually happening. How is there any advantage to this? How is this in any way beneficial to me to be waiting?
So we have to learn, especially in our fast-paced culture, we have to learn the discipline of waiting on the Lord. And His perfect timing is always perfect. And so the point in sharing this as a principle for us is God is working in the waiting. Some of you are in a period of waiting for whatever it might be. Maybe you're waiting to get married. Maybe you're waiting to have kids. Maybe you're waiting for that career that you would like, or whatever the case might be. Waiting to move, waiting for something. Don't get impatient, because it is in those waiting years that God can do wonderful things in your heart to prepare you, to refine you. There's some things that, like an onion, that need to be peeled off layer by layer, and God will reveal some things to us. But look, when God moved in the hearts and lives of people, it often was preceded by years of waiting. God will take His time to do His good work. The waiting is not in vain. Somebody needs to hear that. And it is so counterintuitive to what we're used to, because in our culture, we want everything instantly. And if it doesn't happen by Thursday, we get mad at God. But God, in His timing, will bring about His perfect will if we learn to wait.
What do you pray for? It's going to tell you whether or not you're chasing the destination or you're focused on who you're becoming.
Most of us here would say, I trust God. Most of us here would say, I trust His plan. I believe that He has my best interest in mind. The hard part is, can we trust His timing? Patience and the ability to wait on God suggests that we trust His timing. That's why waiting on God is hard. But you know what's worse than waiting on God? Wishing that you waited on God. That however long you have to wait, it will be worth it, because God's timing is perfect. See, we understand timing when it comes to other things in this life. You put cookies in the oven, and they're supposed to take 20 minutes, and you take them out after 5, they're not ready yet. But when we can't see God working, we grow impatient. We take matters into our own hands, and we make a mess, because we can't see what He's doing. He's up to something, we just can't see it. So while we wait, we can either make things worse by taking matters into our own hands, or we can allow the wait to build our character. We can allow the wait to grow fruit. We can allow the wait to remind us that He's good. And not only is He good, but that He's trustworthy and that His timing is best.
And waiting is in all time. God is always at work, when you can see it and when you can't. When you're rushing and when you're waiting, He is still at work.
We are dependent upon God's timing, and we're going to have to make peace with that. You may be frustrated that God hasn't solved the challenge of your life, or that you've had to bear a circumstance for an extended period of time. I don't pretend to be able to tell you I understand that, or I can articulate an answer to that, but I would tell you I've come to trust the Lord in His timing.
So the question becomes, how do you and I learn how to wait better? What if what God's going to do in your life takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Having to wait that long is painful. So here's the big idea. Here's what I want you to do. Instead of you waiting on God, you know what I want you to do? I want you and I to learn how to wait with God. There's a big difference when it comes to waiting with God and waiting on God. When I make Him my shepherd, He leads me and guides me to the places that I'm supposed to go.
I mean, at the absolute irreducible minimum, when you and I are in the midst of a waiting season, we can still trust God. We can still be faithful to Him. We can. Is it often difficult and challenging? You bet.
Trust. He wants you to trust him. And I want to challenge you, during seasons that you're waiting, it shows our trust in God.
How long would